Hey guys, this is Miss Went, and I want to help you with this assignment here called Student Exploration Distance Time Graphs. Okay, and it says, note, you should have a paper copy of this activity in your packet. So if you prefer to do Notability, in the assignment I do have it, but I think for this activity it's going to be easier to write everything on paper. And then just take photos with your iPad or your phone and send me the photos of your papers. You don't have to rewrite anything into Notability. I don't want you to waste time doing that. Okay? So to do this activity, we're going to have to go to the website Explore Learning. And I put the link up here. And there's a video. If I go back to Schoology real quick, at the top of your Schoology page, there's a video link. It says Intro to Explore Learning. This video will show you how to make a username and password if you need one. So if you haven't done this yet, you need to do this first. Okay? So when you go to the website, whenever we log in, I'm just going to hit this login button. My computer saves my info. Your username is probably first name dot last name and your grad year and then your lunch number. But you have to make the account before you can get in, okay? And when you log in, I'm a teacher, so my page is going to look different than yours. Just be aware of that. Okay, so on our page here that says Physics, it actually has Physics A at the top, and then if you scroll down a little bit, it says Physics B under there. So this is the one we got right here, Distance Time Graphs. And you can see there's another one that's kind of similar. We're not doing velocity yet. So make sure you have the packet that just says distance time. If you see velocity on the top, that's for a couple days. Put that one aside and find the packet that just says distance time. All right, so if I click on that, I am going to launch this to do the activity. All right, so I have a rudder at the bottom and I have a graph. If I look at the graph, the y-axis along the side says distance from our starting point. And at the bottom, we're going to measure time. You see I have a stopwatch here to measure time. And I have a runner. Here's the starting point, and then it shows 10 meters away, or I guess yards in this case, because it's labeled yards, and so forth and so on. I could add a second runner if I want to. Okay, we'll get to that later. And I could also change the line on the graph right here has 2 points. You can see there's a circle up here and another one down here, and you can actually grab these circles and kind of adjust stuff as well. But I could add more points on my line and change the shape of my line. So that's something else we can kind of mess with as well. All right. Now on your worksheet, you have a couple prior knowledge questions to look at, and then there's a warm-up in the middle. Okay, so I'm going to do the warm-up in the middle. It says, the distance time graphs gizmo shows a graph and a runner on a track. You can control the motion of the runner by manipulating the graph. Manipulating means changing things around. So we can drag the red dots to change it. Check the number of points is 2, so I got that. My number of points right in this box says 2, and that the runner 1 shows the graph and the animation boxes are turned on, so I've got that. If I turn those off, I don't got much to look at. Okay. The graph should look like the one on the right, so if you look at your worksheet, the graph on the worksheet should match what I have on the screen, so that's cool. And it says, click the green start button on the stopwatch, what happens? So if I do that, click the stopwatch, and the runner runs forward. And it took him 4 seconds to go 40 meters. So I could write something like that on my paper. The runner moved. He ran for 4 seconds and he went 40 meters or something like that. All right, then it says click the red reset button on the stopwatch. So if I click the red button, it'll always take me back to where I started. And it says the vertical green probe on the graph allows you to see a snapshot of the runner at any point in time. So that's this green line here. And if I drag the line back and forth, I can see that, oh, like if I put it right here on the place where it says 2 seconds, I can see that the runner was right here at 2 seconds. And I can see at 3 seconds, the runner was right there. Okay, so I got a couple questions to answer there. Letter A, the position of the runner at 1 second. Well, if I go back to 1 second here. So the runner's position, where he's at, is at the 10-yard marker. So letter A would be 10 yards because that matches the 1 second. What are the coordinates of the point on the graph that tells you this? That's letter B. Okay, well, the coordinates on the graph is the red line here is the runner. So at 1 second, right here on the graph, that's going to be the coordinates. So if you're reading this graph in math class, it would be the x number is number 1, and then the y number we went up to 10. So the coordinates here would be 1, comma, 10. Okay, so you write it just like you're doing a x and y axis in math class. Over 1, up 10. That is my coordinates. Okay, then you're going to do the same thing for the runner on the 30-meter line, and I'll let you do that one on your own. Okay, so I'm going to turn the page and kind of show you something new here. When you're doing activity A, it says click the red reset button, so I'm going to do that. Everything goes back to normal. Be sure the number of the points is 2. Okay. And it says, in the gizmo, run the race many times with a variety of different graphs. Pay attention to what the graph tells you about the runner. Okay, so if I just run it as is, I can see he starts at the beginning, he ends at the end. But if I take my graph here and I drag it maybe to there. All right, so it looks like now he's running a little slower. And he didn't make it all the way to the end. He stopped in the middle. All right, so what if I put the graph like right there? So now he's going like really slow and he didn't hardly get anywhere. All right, so let's put the graph, can I move it over here? How about there? So that's pretty fast. He almost made it to the end. Can I drag this bottom one here? Ooh, I can drag that guy. So what's that gonna look like there? All right, so it looks like he didn't start all the way at the beginning. He kind of started in the middle. What's this gonna look like? All right, so when the line goes down, he's running backwards. All right, so you can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm just trying some different things and kind of talking this out. And by doing that, you should be able to answer question 1, 2, 3, and so forth. So you really need to mess around a little bit, make some observations, and then look at the questions. So if I look at question 1, if a distance time graph contains the point 4, 15, what does that tell you about the runner? Let's see. Well, here is 4, and actually that's pretty close to 4:15 right there. Halfway between 10 and 20 is 15 at over 4 seconds. And it doesn't really matter where this thing starts. So if my graph has this dot, that means that after 4 seconds of time, my guy has gone, he is at the position of 15. So between 10 and 20. Now, if I make the graph like this, it's still the same answer. After 4 seconds, he is at 15 yards. Now, he got there a different way, but that point means after 4 seconds, he's at the 15. Okay, so that's what question 1 is going to be. Question 2, I think you can figure out. Question 3, I think you can figure out. Number 4, the point on the graph that lies on the y-axis is called the y-intercept. What does that tell you? All right, so when I have this point on the y-axis at 30, when I run the race, oh wait, did you see that? My runner started at the 30. What if I move this down to 20? Hey, he's starting at the 20. My y-intercept, the place on the y where the graph crosses, that's where my runner starts. Okay, so if he starts at 0, starts at 10, starts at 20, it doesn't matter what this is over here. My y-intercept here is where my runner starts running. So that's your answer for number 4. All right? Now if you look at number 5, it says in the gizmo, set the number of points to 3. So you can move the slider or you can type in the box. Okay? And it says create a graph of a runner that starts at the 20, runs to the 40, and finishes at the 30. Okay? So if he's going to start at the 20, I need to make sure that I'm starting at 20. And then the second place he goes is to the 40, so I can make this go up to the 40. And then he ends on the 30. Okay, so you see what I did? Starting at 20, then we go to the 40 mark, and then we go back to the 30 mark. And if I hit play, oops, you can see my runner kind of follow that path. Forward for a while, and then he turns around and goes backwards when the graph goes down. Okay, so for number 5, you're going to sketch the graph and kind of write what you see there. Right? So that's what activity A is all about. Kind of getting used to the shape of the line, if the runner's going forward or if the runner's going back where he came from, back the other way. So running to the right, running to the left. And knowing kind of that this is the y-intercepts where he's starting and being able to kind of match up the time and where he's at for each one. That's what activity A is all about. All right. Now, activity B is going to have you mess around and come up with some different graphs. And there's a lot of right answers. So I'm not going to do any examples for activity B. But I can tell you that for number 1 and number 2, they're just straight lines. Okay, so you only need 2 points for those. So they're two points, straight lines for number 1 and number 2. And then number 3, you're going to change it to 5 points. Okay, so 5 points, you can see there's a lot of, stuff you can do with the graph and get him to do different things and see what happens and stuff. Okay, so you're going to be messing around and figuring some things out and drawing a picture of your graph. Make sure you draw the picture and write your description. Okay, and then so you're going to kind of go through that. And then when you get to activity C, you're going to add the second runner. And then you kind of see how, when you do different graphs, how they compare, who's going faster and slower and things like that. Okay? So now that you kind of have an idea of how this works, I want you to start it. Be aware that the back page says challenge. I do want you to try it. If you don't get all the way there, you won't lose too many points, but if you can figure it out, you might earn some bonus points. And I would really, 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 really like to see this handed in by the end of the day on Wednesday, so I can kind of see where everybody's at with stuff. Okay? If you have questions, I'm available to Zoom pretty much all day Tuesday, I think. Wednesday, my husband is getting surgery, so I will not be as available as Wednesday. So I really want you to try to work on this today, because I can give you the most help today. Okay, guys? Have a great day, and as always, message me if you have any questions.